Good evening, everyone. You're watching Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show. My name is Christian Karasevich. I'm the CEO and founder of socialchefs.com. We put on this weekly talk show every single week, covering the latest in social media news, what's new, what's trending, what's popular, what's happening. So tonight, we're going to be joined shortly by Phil Gerbyshak. He's going to co-host with me. But I want to bring on Nicole Virant. Hopefully I've said this right. We just chatted a few minutes ago, and she gave me some feedback on how to say that. But let's bring Nicole on. I want to welcome you to Social Chatter, and we've got a lot of really great topics to talk with you tonight about. So let's bring Nicole on and have her introduce herself.
Hey,
good evening. How are you doing, Nicole?
Good, Christian. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So I think I probably butchered your last name. I have that happen all the time as well.
Average person. So you did all right.
Very good. So tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah.
So we were chatting briefly, but what do you do? You know, what's your passion?
Yeah. So I'm over in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Right now I do the social media outreach and communications for a lovely nonprofit that serves children and families of Northeast Wisconsin, called Family and Child Care Resources. Also in my spare time, I do consulting, training, and all sorts of education with social media in Northeast Wisconsin. So working primarily right now with nonprofits. We just did some training with the Marinette Foundation. And so we did a training for probably over 40 different Northeast Wisconsin nonprofits on how to utilize social media a little bit more effectively, how to understand kind of the tools and learn a lot of the essentials that unfortunately even a lot of small businesses are lacking. And then I also teach over at our local technical college.
Nice. Wow, you're very busy actually.
Yeah.
That definitely keeps you well, I mean, the good news is, here's the thing. I think it's one of those things where if you're busy and you're just doing like a lot of other stuff, like, it doesn't really keep you on your toes, and plugged in. Right. So I think it's good to see, that you've got a lot going on there. So it's really great to have you on the show, by the way. I'm always eager to have new guests on. And I like to, here's the thing, at Social Chefs, what we like to do is we like to have people on that, that have a lot of knowledge in the industry, but, people that necessarily like, you go to conferences, you see the same people talking all the time. That's frustrating.
All about the hustle and the pivoting and
it's hustle, or it's like, and here's the thing. Nobody ever tells you how they got started. They never tell you any of their secret sauce or any of that sort of stuff. And it's always the same. Like
they make it, like, ooh, amazing.
Exactly. Do what?
The Snapchat fam.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, like we don't buy into all that hype, because here's the thing, that's all it is. It's hype. It's right. Not like, they're not sharing anything like earth-shattering or groundbreaking. They're just sharing, essentially most of the time it's just content from their own blog and that sort of stuff. So we're really glad to have you on. Exactly. It's regurgitated, whether it's
magic formula that's like, okay, if you follow this, you're going to get hundreds of thousands followers and you're going to just explode through the roof.
Exactly. They don't tell you, like, oh, hey, like I bought, 10,000 of these followers or 20,000 of these followers. Like Phil and I joked about that a couple of weeks ago on the show that, we're having a delay. And, we said, you can actually go, and he's like, oh, we just bought 20,000 followers for $5, because that's essentially what a lot of people do. Right. A lot of people that really don't have, they don't have the experience, but they like to, make it look like they do. But we're not about that game. So, so let me check with
real stuff, real tactics, and getting it done.
So let me do this. Let me check with Phil. Phil said he was running a couple minutes late. And let's see what's going on.
I do feel like there's starting to be more transparency, though, and tools that you can kind of check and ways that you can get around the fakeness.
By the way, that is a really good point. Are there any tools that you recommend? Like we always talk about tools at the end of the show, but are there any tools you recommend off the bat for something like that people can do?
Well, so funny story. When I was a community manager at a college a couple years ago, we had a brand new social media strategist start, and she just had like amazing profiles, and something just didn't seem right. When there's just like basic stuff that people just don't have down, you're like, this just makes me wonder a little bit here. So I decided to run just your standard Twitter audit on her, and voila, most of her followers are just complete trash. Same thing,
Yes.
you just look. I mean, I like tools. I like a lot of free tools because, again, most of the clients I work for nonprofits, so they don't have a lot of huge budgets.
No.
But even just going in and kind of doing your own analysis, I mean, you can just do it. Just take a couple minutes to research and look through stuff that you're looking for, and then it's like, ooh, yeah. Like, for example, if I'm evaluating a business page on Facebook, if I go on there and they have all these, like, tons of likes, but then the likes are from people, like, all sorts of, it's a local business, and they're not getting anything on their, something's not adding up here.
No, not at all. And that's a really good point. I mean, and here's the thing. We're going to talk about this in a couple minutes. And by the way, sorry, guys, we don't always like ramble on as much when we get started. But like, this is, so here's the thing. Like it's about just being smart with like just having some common sense in a way. Like saying, hey, you know what? Does this actually like not look correct on their account, or on their channel? And, and putting that in perspective, the same thing also happens with like, people saying, well, hey, like all this stuff with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica and your data, people are saying like, oh, they like it's not necessarily about like blaming in this case, it's not about blaming Facebook because like it comes down to the user. The user needs to be responsible for their data. They need what you're putting online, and that sort of stuff. So like just being truthful, being honest with people and, and hopefully that connection there made less.
Yeah. Well, the thing I don't get is like, why are people like, oh my God, I'm going to delete Facebook? Like, you've already sold your soul to a lot of these companies, to Google, to other places in the terms of service. So this shouldn't be a surprise.
No, not at all. And I'm glad somebody gets that because a lot of people, they look at it and say, well, oh, it's just Facebook. It's like, well, no, it's not just Facebook. There's a lot of things on there. And there's some good and there's some bad with it, but you take the good with the bad. So.
For sure.
Okay. Are you ready to get started? You ready to talk about a little social media marketing here, a little news for the week?
Let's do it.
Okay. So let's see. Topic number one that I want to start with here. And let me get all my notes up here. And I see all the topics that we had for tonight. Okay, so topic number one that I want to talk about, and let's start with Instagram. Okay, Instagram. We'll talk about a little bit of Facebook, and then we'll wrap it up with some tools and some YouTube. So, topic number one that I want to talk about is Instagram making some algorithm changes. Can you hear me? Okay.
I have a little lag. Might be my internet though.
Okay. So
algorithm changes on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram is changing their Instagram algorithm. They want to change your feed as well. So are you a big Instagram user here?
Moderately. I'd say my probably top three networks are Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Instagram, I'm getting definitely more into, but I would imagine they're going to model some of it after some of the changes that they're doing in Facebook because, they're owned by the same company.
Yes, absolutely. So basically the news for the week here is that Instagram, this is from the Instagram blog, introducing some changes to your blog or your news feed because people have complained about wanting to have better control. Like, for instance, they don't want to be, on Instagram, leave Instagram and come back and then have to try to pick up where they left off or pick up, or they want to be, they don't want to go back to a new article or they want to go back to on Instagram. So in this article, the bottom line is Instagram is adding a new posts button at the top of your Instagram feed. To get this, obviously, you need to get the Instagram, which you can get from your app store of your mobile device. Simply tap that button, this new post button that will be there, and it will refresh So it'll let you choose rather than have it happen automatically. So this way you go to Instagram and it doesn't automatically load, or it does load based on your preference you set. So I think that you think that Instagram needs to think this is a good change, a bad change? How do you feel?
It kind of reminds me, and I don't know how long ago it was, as you start to get older, things start to go faster, and then you're like, oh yeah, something that happened last week was like last year. But you remember on Twitter when it would have like, oh, you missed? And you're like, nah, maybe not. Do you remember that at all?
Just briefly, yeah. And it was cutting out there.
Oh, okay.
Say it again?
Yeah, I would say it's a positive change, in my opinion. I like change, though. Hope that most people who are in the social media space kind of embrace some of those changes and see how they work out. Ultimately, they're going to go with, or they should go with, what the user is going to prefer and is going to get more engagement. So it makes sense to me. What are your thoughts?
I think overall that I think this makes a lot of sense. I think that if I'm a business, and I'm tapping into the Instagram channel, what I think I would recommend doing here is you're going to want to cater to both sides of your audience. You're going to have the people who, they want to see on Instagram, and then you're going to have people that are viewing something that want to see, they want to go back to their article they were reading. So with something like that, with this feature, I think you kind of have to, I need to post some things to my channel that are, like one, I need to be very, I need to constantly be posting, like have updates out there that are fresh, but I also want to make sure that I have a mix, I'm not gonna be able to get that person who is, always wanting to see what's new and what's happening on Instagram. So don't think that here, I guess I'd say it like this. Don't think that you have to post, but consider mixing your Instagram updates as well with maybe some updates you share from other people and that sort of thing as well. That's how I think I could see a business using this. So you're able to tap into this change. I think that, like I like to go to Instagram. I like to see, what's new. I'm glad that Facebook's actually giving us an option. I say Facebook here because Facebook owns Instagram, but I'm glad we're able to make the adjustment ourselves. This is, just like the whole Instagram or the whole Facebook newsfeed, where you can normally sort your posts as well. But that's my thoughts on this. How about you? What do you?
I would love, in my perfect world, and again, this is probably just selfish on my part, but I would love, like, sort of, if I've been on something or interacted with it, like ability to save and go back to some of those things. Because I see some really amazing content that I'm just like, oh yes, I love this. And then all of a sudden, I'm doing 500 other things, and then I can't remember. I'm like, oh crap, I can't remember the username, or I'm trying to search through it, and then the feed's all updated. So that's kind of frustrating on my part.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. And the other thing is, like, it's poor social media tactics, which are let me take a screenshot of something, or let me write down the username, and I have this long note of like tasks of things that I never did. So I think those are great points, and we're going to move on to the next topic here. But I did want to just wrap this one up with a great comment from Timothy. We said any change that doesn't reward, in this case, poor content, is a good change. And I think that is fantastic. Great point, by the way. So, you ready to move on?
Hello.
By the way, I want to welcome everyone.
A knowledgeable person to know on social. Just saying. Gonna give him a little shout out.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have to have. We're always up for having new guests on, so we'll have to chat after the show.
Cool.
So let me see what else we got here. So I want to welcome Tammy, Fernando. Kim says she's going to have to catch the replay, which we'll have that tomorrow. Blog post recap. We've got Donna on here, and Nicole's on here as well. Look at that. So it's really great to have everyone on. Thanks so much for spending just the next 40 minutes or so with us. But we're going to keep rolling.
I'm pretty sure that Bill just bailed on us. He went out for drinks. Screw this.
So yeah, well, we'll see. So he hasn't responded
right now. Where are you?
Yes.
Keeping me on the show with this crazy person.
It's all good. So I'm enjoying myself. This is actually a good time. Some Facebook updates. Let's stick with the whole, the Facebook family. And so let's talk about let's see. Let's do it first. Let's talk to privacy settings for your data.
How do you feel about facial recognition, Christian? Do you have that feature turned on?
I think I don't have it on for Facebook, but I think overall that, everything is trending towards that. And I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I look at my phone, for instance, and I use, phone. I would prefer Face ID because Touch ID doesn't always work. If your hands have any moisture on them, or your Touch ID is dirty, or maybe you got some water in your hands, you picked up a glass or something, it doesn't always work. So I think facial recognition makes a lot of sense. I think it's faster, it's a little less obtrusive. So I don't really mind the whole facial side of things. I think that it actually is smart because I think if they do it the right way, how you get into, being able to automatically recognize some photo. I don't have to necessarily go and then click on each photo and say, well, let me tag this person. Who's that person? And I can't remember their name. Let them do the heavy lifting. So I don't see a problem with that. How about you?
I tend to be a little bit more of a conspiracy theorist. So I'm okay with maybe using it as a security feature, if it's a login or a two-factor authentication, which is one thing that I highly recommend for anybody who's managing pages. Definitely have that set up.
Yes. But to do that, just be aware that what will happen is you will get a lot of notifications and emails and whatnot telling you people have logged in. So that's probably the bigger thing.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it depends. Again, with my audience, it's typically small business, nonprofit, municipality. So you don't have it, but it's more of, you want to kind of be secure if you're representing a village or a town or a city and not having somebody get access to the facial recognition. So I have mine turned off. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan because here's why. How many times are we being videotaped, photographed, etc., without our consent? Anytime you go into public, this is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And eventually we'll be in a situation where literally you can take a picture of somebody and just pull up all of their data. I mean, the data is out there on the internet, whether you like it or not. But I just think it makes it easier, and you just don't have the option to choose whether or not you want to be a part of that. So you just have to be savvy about what type of information that you put out there and know what people have access to.
Absolutely. And this is a great point. So on that, the update for the week is that Facebook is going in, and they're changing the privacy settings. They want to make things easier for you as a user. What they're basically doing here is and all this is basically in a way it's fallout from Cambridge Analytica, and here's the thing. I think this is actually a good thing. And I think it's a good thing because it's forcing Facebook to take a look at things that need to be improved, or things that didn't have a sum, or things that had a convoluted menu to be able to have to, try and figure out. Now, personally, I don't really think the privacy settings or your menu settings, I think they could be cleaned up a little bit, but I don't think they need control. It's a matter of people taking responsibility for knowing how their accounts are set up and how they work. But the bottom line is what Facebook is doing is they're trying to roll out some additional features to privacy settings. They want to make it easier for you to access everything from one menu with just a few taps. They want to give you each feature does, which, I mean, personally, that doesn't bother me in the slightest bit, only because I don't really, what does the language menu do? Talking here at all, but what does the language menu do? What does the payments menu do? Just use some common sense. Hey, I got payments. It's going to include my credit card information. Language. That's going to be my, my Facebook setting is on. Oh, do I want to be able to have translations? Do I know another language? do I speak with a lot of people with other languages? So, that's part of the update is they're also looking to give you access to the data that you are, that Facebook is collecting. So what do you think about this, by the way, this update?
Yeah, so I think it's a positive thing. Obviously, Facebook is doing it to save some face in recent news. I haven't been a big fan personally of their privacy settings. Now, for people who are social media users, really common sense. But if you're working with like seniors or other people who are just unfamiliar with the tool, it's a lot more complicated for them than it would be for somebody like you. So I think that simple explanations, not having to go to different areas to figure out where things are, definitely could be improved. Although I did miss, they had this little dinosaur guy who would come and like do your little privacy checkup. He was kind of cute. I did like him. But it's kind of in just a weird spot. And a lot of people don't realize about the facial recognition. They also don't realize that if you have it checked by default, you're going to be available on search networks through your Facebook profile, which again, maybe for the average person isn't a big deal. But let's say you're working in a profession where you don't want people to be able to easily search your name or information. It's not just Facebook that you have to be concerned about, but just your overall privacy.
Yeah, and I will say, it is kind of that's an interesting thing you actually mentioned there. The other day I was actually earlier this week I was on eBay and I had somebody, I was making a purchase and the person I didn't give them my name or any of that sort of stuff, and they sent me a message and they sent me a screenshot of my Facebook profile and they're like, "Hey, is this you?" And and they're like, "Oh, you have a very interesting life," and I was like, yes, I'm like, yeah, that's me. But again, my profile's out there for people to look at.
What were you buying on eBay? I want to know.
It was just random. I was buying like a movie, which was so random. But it was so weird. I was like, what in the world? But here's the thing. You also have to know though, like as you said earlier, when you put things out on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Google or Instagram, it doesn't really matter which channel it's on, which platform. You're giving access to your data. You're giving access to certain parts. You can string all those things together and you have a complete profile of somebody. But you're also, you're giving them access to hey, who are you? Like, where do you live roughly? What do you look like? All this stuff is out there. So, it's not like if I don't put it there, it's not like somebody can't find it. It's all there.
However, I will bring up this point because I just had this from my own experience. So as you know, online, you probably monitor your own name and search results on a regular basis.
Yep, using
Google.
So
I'm also involved in local government.
Okay.
You make a statement at the, board meeting or whatever it is. They actually will record your first and last name and put your address right in there. And of course, it comes up like right on like the top results of Google because it's the municipality's website. I'm like, Hey, everybody, here's where I live. But that's
absolutely.
It's out there. If somebody knows like the city that you're in, they're going to be able to find your address. So
absolutely. Well, and so speaking of that, like we're talking about like lookup basically. So the other thing that also can happen, and this is what I recommend, like if you use an email marketing service, they ask for an address. So when you send out an email, your address is at the bottom of that email for people to be able to see. So, what you can do is you can use a PO box. Yep. You could have, if you've got a physical location for your business, if you're, not just an online business, you could have just that. So that way you kind of protect yourself a little bit better. So, with this update, by the way, so Facebook is rolling out, the easier way to get to privacy settings. But what they're also doing is they're also giving you access to an easier way for you to find out more about your Facebook account. You can learn how to make your account secure with obviously the two-factor authentication, which you talked about earlier, the ability to control your personal information so you can review like what you've shared. If you actually want to delete it, Facebook says you can delete it if you want to. You can look at reactions, friend requests you've sent, which is pretty crazy. Things you've searched for on Facebook, so you can see all this stuff. Do what?
Did you hear that you can see who looks at your profile if you just click on the link?
That is very good. Yes. I have not heard that one yet. So that is good. So there's that one. And then you also got access to like control the ads you see with Facebook ad preferences. And also you can manage who sees your post, your profile information. I mean, the bottom line is Facebook's looking to make this easier for you to be able to control. They're also going to give you some tools to be able to download and delete your Facebook data. Again, I mean, here's the thing. It's pretty simple. When you're going to post something on Facebook, just be very aware of like what you're posting. Ask yourself, is this something that like, hey, if I put this out there and it got somebody carried it on to, and put it on something else or shared it or whatever, is that something that I would have a problem with? Always fact check, always check everything you share before you share it. Pretty simple. But they're doing that with your data. And also they said they'll let you download or they'll let you delete it. And they're also going to let you see what has access to your data. So you can actually see which, like you can see now what has access to your data, like which apps you've installed and that sort of stuff. But you'll be able to go in and, revoke that pretty quickly now. How do you feel about all of these tools? I mean, what is your one recommendation if you had to give somebody a recommendation on how they can protect themselves, in this case on Facebook? Because as you said, they're saving face because of, all this other fallout. But what is it? So
I'm going to go with 2 recommendations. I know you told me one.
Sure, 2. Let's go with 2. Yeah.
Pretty soon. She has some things to add about Facebook. Right, Winnie? She's currently trying to nap. She's like, Mom, shut up. So 2 things I would recommend. One of those things is being weary of your third-party apps and who you're giving access to on Facebook. Just like any apps that you would download in general, some of them are a little spammier than others. Unfortunately, my lovely aunt the other day downloaded some crazy free app that like emailed everybody and told them to sign up. And then, it was just nuts. So you want to know what you're giving access and you want to limit those things because again, that puts you at some liability and risk. And I like to minimize those things. The other thing that I'm a huge fan of is the 2-factor authentication. Reason being, it's super easy to hack into pretty much anything these days. Text messages are not secure. And with the 2-factor authentication, again, I think most of our social people know what that is. But if you're logging in particularly to a new device, it's typically going to either ask that you use a code generator or be sent a code via text or however you have it set up. And again, it's just another layer of security that you're not having random people hack into your account and post weird nude pictures of women and trying to sell your sex stuff. So
absolutely. So I want to say, so can you kind of help people that are watching, if they've never set up 2-factor authentication, how do they go about doing that? Is it just a button they turn on or what?
So your 2-factor authentication, you would go to your Facebook profile. Let's grab.
Is there like a direct URL that they can like actually use for that, or do they have to like go to a menu and
grab that for you? Where would you like it?
Let's just drop it in the comments, actually.
Okay. Do that. See, I'm so used to like doing the trainings in person where we're like, all right, we're gonna walk through this together, everybody. Let's go, and we're gonna click right on the little drop-down box at the top. I'll grab the link.
And it'll change for people that are, you'll have like, a couple people in the room that have a whole different setup somehow.
What's fun?
Yes.
It's definitely always interesting to get smaller groups. Oh, I put it in the team chat. You're going to have to just put that in the chat box.
Okay. Let me find that real quick.
Chat with your guests. Let's try that.
So we're getting a link for everybody here.
Phil says he's on his way.
Oh, good.
Update
Thank you for that update. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me find the link. So I don't see the link. Did you put in our?
Let's go to comments. I did some weird team thing. I can see live comments. I wonder, because you're the moderator, if you only have access to do the comments in there. I don't have access to do that. All I have is a team chat. Otherwise, I can send it to you on Facebook.
Yeah, just send it to me on Facebook. That's fine.
I'm pretty sure you have to be like ADHD to enjoy being in social media Because you just are constantly doing like so many different things. All right. Let's see where you're at here, Christian. There you go.
So let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay, we finally got it. Okay, so let's see if this is.
Sorry, those of you who are hanging with us.
So this is how, if you want to set up two-factor authentication, this is how you're going to do it.
Yep.
So thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. And I would say, and the one thing you mentioned, that I think is really that's also really important is that people will go on once you set up two-factor authentication. It's going to seem like, well, hey, I have to get my phone out and I have to log on to this, and they're going to send me a code, and then I have to go get that code, and then I got to come back. It's going to seem like a lot of steps, but if you kind of think about it like this, it's a gateway. It's basically the unlock feature for Facebook in this case. It's an extra step or two, but it's there to protect yourself. So something that, just keep that in mind. I mean, it's not like, oh, I've got to add an extra 5 minutes to do this task. Just remember, it's there to protect yourself. So you want to spend the extra time, because if something does go wrong, you do run into issues at that point, which can be way more than 5 minutes to get fixed. So keep that in mind. Thanks for sharing that, brother.
The interesting thing is with the other day that I did, we did an intro to Facebook and kind of going through some of those foundational things, but they went and reviewed all of their current logons and recent logins and see all the different locations. They're like, wait a second, that was not me, which again, some of that stuff can get goofed up with your IP address and your computers. Mm-hmm. So, it's not completely accurate, but again, if it's all of a sudden saying that somebody from New York and is using Internet Explorer, God forbid Explorer, that's not me.
Yes. But I like the fact that you said, if somebody, like if you go review your data and you see that, it's a random location, like don't freak out that much, just say, hey, you know what, it could be like, because just because you're located in a certain state doesn't mean that your internet service necessarily is. You could be in, quite a few miles away from that location, or in a whole other city or a whole other state. Just know though that like if it's a random, oh hey, it's totally across the world and I'm not there, I might want to secure my account. So okay, so I'm going to take a quick pause here before we jump into like call SMS data. Or you know what? Yeah, we'll do that, and then you know what, Hun? How about this? We'll cover Phil. By the way, I know you're watching here. We're going to cover the call and SMS history data real quick, and then we're going to jump into bringing you on for the Facebook disabling audience reach in Facebook ads. That way we have a good segue here. But so next topic that we have for everybody tonight is the fact that Facebook is removing some, this is actually for call and SMS data. Basically, a report came out that Facebook was able to see your call and your SMS history, your full call and SMS history. This is it's something that I know a lot of people are probably concerned with. And by the way, oh, look at that. We got a visitor. Who do we have here, by the way?
Hello.
It's Winnie.
She's got some
Facebook
really
blue
big
dot tag, huh?
SMS. Can you say hi? She's like, I'm going back now.
So how do you feel, by the way, about your call and SMS data, like with Facebook? Do you think Facebook, is doing anything malicious with this? Do you think this is something that
yes, come on. Facebook's evil. And you know why they're evil? Because they want to make money. Because Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have enough. Again, I think people are freaking out a little bit over the top about some of this information. I know a lot of people in my social network have talked about, talking about certain things and certain items, and then all of a sudden magically seeing ads for them and being creeped out about it. I don't think that just because they have access doesn't mean that they're like spending all their time going through your information. Yes, they're probably using some keywords. Yes, they're probably using that data to benefit marketers and companies. But again, that's part of you allowing them access to those things by using the tool. If you don't like it, don't use Facebook.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. And here's the thing, like, I was actually reading about this. So you can do, if you go to, like, this is a total aside here, but the bottom line, Facebook says, hey, we're not doing anything with your data. I tend to believe some of this, but you also kind of have to look at it like you said, for business. If I'm a business and, I'm actually I'm taking your data, but I'm not necessarily saying, well, hey, I've got Phil's phone number. I've got Phil's call history here, for instance. I'm not necessarily do what?
All the girls on the hotline.
Somebody wants to. We'll bring it on in a second. So I will say, here's the thing. I mean, again, it's all about like you as a user just being smart with what you're doing. So, for example, if you don't want them to necessarily do this, don't put your phone number on Facebook. But you also then have to say, well, okay, if I want to be able to tap into the messenger feature and be able to call people, because for instance, I make calls all the time from Facebook, and I do it because I'll be honest with you, the service is actually better than my mobile device a lot of times, which seems random, but it's a trade-off. Everything has trade-offs, and you're going to get, sometimes you're going to get, like you have to give up some privacy, some data, and understand that Facebook also has a responsibility as a business. So one, they have to be, they don't necessarily need to misuse your data, but at the same time, they're doing it to improve the product as well. So if you take all that information away, the product doesn't really improve. It stagnates, it flatlines, it might not get any better. It might get worse in that case. So I personally would not be that concerned with the whole call and SMS data, provided you're not doing anything wrong. But the other thing is, do it.
Oh, I was going to say, look at the other apps that you're using. You're giving up your location, you're giving up all sorts of information, and people aren't talking about that. So it's like, come on.
No. And I was going to say, Google, for instance, if you go to google.com/takeout, and you could actually, you probably know this, but you could download your whole history on Google. And it's ridiculous, like how many, we're talking like gigs and gigs and gigs of data, about yourself. I mean, it registers, every time, for instance, you turn on your phone, it registers your location.
Yep.
You can go and look at your browser history, what websites you visited, your calendar, your Google Drive, like your music, every little, books you read, like any of these things you're doing. So I wouldn't be that concerned with necessarily Facebook having access to my call and my SMS history because, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong with it. And I'm actually using it to benefit, myself. So thank you, Facebook, for making this tool. I think as a user, you need to just be very aware of what you're doing and what you're sharing, and the tools you're using. Like if you're using it for sensitive information, maybe you don't need to do that. Sensitive information meaning like, oh, hey, this company that I'm at gave me this information. Let me, send that in an SMS or something. Like that's not necessarily the right way to do it. And not to mention you're violating company policy.
If we're talking about security and your sensitive information, look at how many people just are misguided and don't realize, like, hey, I probably shouldn't send new employment paperwork through my email or my social security or my taxes or, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's just about being vigilant and smart about what you're doing and being aware. You're being tracked by your credit card purchases and what you're buying, where you're buying. Everyone and anybody where you are at any given time. So
yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And all these things. You can string all this stuff together and get a picture of a person without them having to post. You
got to go back into the dark ages. You got to go back to cash. You got to get one of the old cars that don't have computers in them. Probably wear like some sort of a tinfoil hat to protect yourself.
By the way, I think Phil's building a tinfoil hat right now.
It's gonna warp right in.
As a business, here's the thing. As a business, Facebook is, putting this in perspective for a business. So they have this right now available for Facebook profiles. They are working on updates to Messenger to be able to allow you to make calls from Messenger for your business, be able to call, businesses and whatnot. And I think that, again, it's going to give Facebook more data, but you also have to think about it. It's going to hopefully improve the experience for everybody.
Right. And who doesn't love the private message feature as a business? Like, I love that. That was awesome. Like super excited to be able to have that from the page when you have some angry person that's ranting and raving, and you don't want to have that whole dialogue in front of everyone. You know,
right? Because what do people do? They jump to this reminds me of like Office Space here, but they jump to conclusions too quickly. By the way, there's a scene in Office Space where it's a jump to conclusions. Matt, kind of like Twister, but
is that with the red stapler?
Do what?
The red stapler.
Yes. So here's the thing: a lot of people, they jump to conclusions when when something comes up. So in this case, just be aware. I mean, like if you have a negative conversation online, what you want to typically do if it's on your Facebook page, you want to encourage that person to take it offline. The best way is to use Messenger because it's a one-click button. Open the thing and say, "Hey, just chat here and not here on the public feed." So, so anything else you want to say about calling and SMS data on Facebook?
From a business standpoint, I think, again, more and more people are starting to use call on Facebook because, one, it's accessible. Two, it's quick and easy. You don't, business cards are still a reality, but more and more we're becoming intermingled between business and personal lives and other things. And so for me, it's just a shifting of the communication tool that you're going to be using. So don't be scared of it, but, realize though, even though it's a less formal way to communicate, you still need presenting a business and, you want to be professional.
Absolutely. That's a great point, by the way. Really great point. I mean, and here's the thing, if you're going to embrace any of this, any of these new features and these new topics or whatever, just be aware of the good and the bad, like I said earlier. I mean, embrace it, but know what, can happen as a result. So nothing. So with that, I'm going to bring on Phil, by the way, and then we're going to talk about a couple more topics and a couple tools. So Phil, we're bringing you on. It's good to see you. How you doing, Phil?
What's up? Hey, peeps. Sorry I'm late. I'm so glad that you guys carried the show. I know you did an amazing job. So thank you so much.
That's all Nicole. Nicole.
That's true. Yeah, I heard you're talking some smack, though. So it's good that we got a couple more hours because no, I'm just kidding.
Phil.
That's it. No, you guys did a great job. I really like what you said. I love the fact that you said the good and the bad, right? Because that's the case with everything. And let's not forget the biggest privacy breach of all time, the grocery store frequent buyer card that knows whenever we buy poop paper and tampons. Come on now, people. If they know that.
Tampons, Phil.
Well, I've got friends. So, yeah. Anyway, right? So I've got a couple people that I know that might need them. But that's the thing. So just be aware, folks. Don't be scared. That's the big thing.
Absolutely. By the way, I think that's a good point also about buying habits at the grocery store. Everything is being tracked. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. They don't know I wouldn't be surprised also if a grocery store, even if you don't use the card, they kind of, then they can put two and two together. Hey, Christian walks in the store. Oh, he doesn't have his card, but hey, we know he's in the store. Chances are he's going to buy something. Oh, let's, we have a receight. We can, link the two things up.
I think, RFID is coming, folks. So just be ready to be even more tracked. Quick sidebar. I worked with the NSA who listened, not the ones who talk that I'm with now. And I'm going to tell you, we've been listening to you for years and we're going to keep listening to you. Now we're just using it so that you can see the three Billy Goats gruff and buy it because you've been looking at it for weeks. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and look at everybody going with the apps. McDonald's, Starbucks, Target. You can't get the coupons unless you have the Cartwheel app, which I refuse to download, even though I love Target.
Didn't they get rid of the Cartwheel app, by the way? Or did they roll it into the regular app?
No, they'll never get rid of the Cartwheel app because some people don't want the full Target app, right? That's the thing. We're going to see more and more bifurcation here of things. People just want coupons. They don't want to shop. Okay, I'm still going to suck up all your data. It doesn't make any difference, right? So, I'm with you there, Nicole. That's a really good point. We're going to see LinkedIn is going to start spinning this stuff off too, folks. So just be ready.
That drives me crazy. Don't make me download the separate apps. I don't want to have to do that.
No, but I hear That's because you're a social media nerd, though. But think about the regular person, right? I always think about my mom. I love my mom. She has one purpose for being online. She probably doesn't need Messenger. She just needs Facebook. But on LinkedIn, if mom was on LinkedIn, if she's a recruiter on LinkedIn, mom might just want the Messenger piece, or she might want groups or something. And I think it actually makes sense. And then on the desktop, it's the full Monty, which is great. Not that we're going bottomless tonight, folks, but you know.
You'll never know if we are or not.
Well, that's all I'm saying. That's why I was late. Actually, I had to buy some pants. It's true.
So we got two more.
This is good.
Yeah. So yeah, we got a lot of cheese on this call, Christian. We got some cheese heads here. Nicole, you got any cheese curds for me?
I don't. I almost had some breaded cauliflower today, though.
Very nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I went with chicken Florentine.
That's probably good. Yep, that deep fried stuff will clog your arteries and kill you sooner. So if the kids don't get to you first.
Right. And they are.
I know. It's nice that you have them in the cage.
I tried not drink so much before the call today. So
I know. Yep. I understand. Christian asked me to do the same thing. So yeah.
Yeah, we know how you get after you've had a few.
Shush. Christian doesn't yet, though. We still have some secrets.
So let's see. What are we? About 3/4 of the way through the show.
Yeah.
So we've got an update here about Facebook, and this is a sort of a two-part update, but Facebook is disabling audience reach measurement in Facebook ads with your ad filters. Now, I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't see this to be a big deal. But let's start with Phil. Like, what do you think about the fact that Facebook is starting to disable some of these ad filters?
Well, I'm a fan of Dennis Yu of Blitz Metrics. Do you know Dennis Yu?
Yeah, I know Dennis. Yes, actually.
So yeah, right. So Dennis is amazing. He's probably the smartest guy in Facebook that I've ever even breathed the same near oxygen as he does. And Dennis says this could be the death of Facebook ads, because if we don't understand reach, we don't understand our investment, and this could be a massive problem. And if Dennis says that, I've got to believe that there's some fire behind that smoke bomb. I don't know. What do you think? Nicole, what do you think?
Well, I, too, am a fan of Dennis. He always is on top of his game, sharing like the best, latest, and greatest tips. So I'd highly recommend following him. I don't use this feature a ton personally. So, I'm not like crying about it. Certainly, I like to have more options than that. So I could definitely see where it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Christian? What are you hearing or seeing?
So my thoughts on this, and so just kind of to clarify for people that are watching, audience, let's see. So basically what it's going to be not letting you target people based on in this case, this is a relationship preference option. In this case, this is the fact that if it says, hey, I'm interested in male or I'm interested in female or whatnot, like Facebook's not going to let you target that. So how do I think that this is going to, impact the business? I think if I'm a business and I'm trying to capitalize on seasonal sales, for example, like one example would be like Valentine's Day. Okay. So I think that this could be I definitely think this is, this was very useful for you to be able to utilize to upsell somebody on a special occasion. I think overall, if, like you said, I know Dennis as well, if he thinks that this is, could be a big issue for Facebook and obviously maybe it's downfall, I 100% agree with that. And the reason being is because, like you just said, people want to be able to know who they are advertising to, that it's getting seen if they're advertising to the right people. Otherwise, it's just the whole shotgun approach, which is like, let me try to hit everybody. I don't, by the way, this is not just the only filter they're removing. They're removing some, I think it's partner categories as well. Have you probably heard about that one as well, right?
Yeah. So here's the challenge, right? So a lot of small business, maybe this isn't a big deal for Coca-Cola, who people buy soda pop, whether or not they are married or single or divorced, right? But I think about attorneys, divorce attorneys, people who flip from being married to being it's complicated, chances are probably need a divorce attorney, right? So I think it impacts them. I think about, my friends in the wedding industry, my buddy Alan Berg, who is a wedding industry guru, who is now going to have to teach people different ways to look for these things so they can target ads. I am concerned more for small business than for large business. Wedding planners,
Yeah, absolutely.
Photographers, folks who, while seasonal certainly is a great point, Christian, I think it's also those folks that really, those life events that happen on random days. It's March 29th and it's National, Jelly Bean Day, but now I had 3 puppies or something like that, right? I think that's a big deal. And you might want to celebrate that. And you might now want an ad that says, hey, you just got married. Congratulations. Would you like some free jelly beans on National Jelly Bean Day, right? Stuff like that. So I think that could be our problem here. And again, anytime there's less data than more, you got to wonder what's behind it. I mean, I'm a skeptic, man. I'm not a cynic, but I'm a skeptic. Like, why is Facebook doing this? Because, for instance, I don't list my relationship status on Facebook, right? I don't want anybody, to see it. And that's my business. Well, other people, right? Is it targeting them based on that kind of non-public information, which makes it then even creepier for people? Or is it only based on public? I mean, I don't know the answer. I'm just more curious, what the heck is Facebook doing that they're removing these features?
Well, wouldn't you imagine, though? I mean, they have to have enough intelligence that if it's not being properly utilized, or if there's not another way that you can go about doing that, why are they going to remove something? There's got to be a reason. Like, they're not just like, hey, let's just do this today.
Well, unless, typically that's a profit thing, right? Maybe they're trying to roll out a wedding product, right? That's what I mean. Maybe they're trying to roll out a life events product. That's my concern. With this. I mean, a couple years ago, Facebook changed their API so that businesses could no longer scrape life events. Life events are birth of a child, marriage, all of that stuff. Now they're scraping that back even further. So now I don't even know status. I wonder if they're going to split this out and do something else with us. I'm just skeptical. I'm curious what Facebook is up to. I think you're right, Nicole. They absolutely have some ulterior motive. I just want to know what the heck it is.
Right. I like the skepticism. It's a healthy level, right? I mean, you have to have that.
I think so.
Or else you're going to be going on to the brand new social media platform that everyone's just so excited about.
Oh, Vero? We're going to Vero? Is that what you're saying? Is that the next topic question? I missed the notes.
Absolutely.
Just kidding. We'll never talk about Vero. That's a waste of time.
But I think, overall, I mean, I'm concerned. I'm concerned partly for people that are putting all their eggs in one basket of, like, hey, I'm a Facebook coach, for instance. Hope nobody's just a Facebook coach. But there are a lot of people. I mean, that, hey, that's their business, or supposedly that's all they know. And this is a pretty big thing. The fact they're removing these filters. I think overall, I mean, I think we're going to start to see more and more of this happen. And I think it might be because Facebook might be removing this because of, they're not saying it, but I suspect there's probably some sort of data that is being shared that they don't want, they kind of want to like sweep it under the rug real quickly, per se.
Yeah, that's a good point, Christian. That's probably what it is. Certainly isn't to benefit us. Let's just be honest.
No.
Well, Facebook doesn't have their best interest at hand. Come on now.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. That's true of everything. Like you have to say, like, any task you're going to start, like you could, sorry friends here, by the way, but you could ask your friends and say, well, hey, what do you think about this? And chances are your friends are going to say, well, they're going to go along with what you have like proposed. They might not really give you any, additional insight to help you out. But they're doing it because they're friends in this case. So you kind of have to keep your own best interest in mind.
What kind of friends do you have, Christian? You gotta get some good friends. Like Phil.
Here's the thing.
Phil will tell
everybody's always working on something themselves, and we always want that satisfaction from people, or we want their support, but at the same time, we want them to be able to give us honest and true and open feedback and tell us, hey, that's a terrible idea. And some people don't always do that. So, just kind of keep in mind, everybody gives you feedback, but you ultimately have to make the right decision. It's the same thing with Facebook. They're trying to help you out. But again, it's you as a business. You have to make your own decision about, well, which platform do I use? If I don't feel comfortable with certain things, like it's not because like they're not there like saying, hey, this is directed right at Phil or this is directed right at Nicole. They're doing what's good for Facebook. It's the same thing with every user. So
I know a few people. I mean, I don't want to name drop, but
yeah, she likes their pages. She is popular. They're in Cheeseland. That's funny. Yeah.
This is good. This is really good, actually.
Yeah.
So last topic for the night. You want to wrap it up here?
Yeah, let's wrap her up.
I know. Short list. This one, and this is actually, and I didn't do this purposefully, but I think it actually played out really well, which is the fact that YouTube is now making it easier to start a YouTube live. And on the surface, this seems like a really basic update, but there's actually, there's a lot more to this. So the topic is, let's just say easier YouTube live video.
Yeah. Well, I think it's necessary, man. It's about time that they get with the program, and I think LinkedIn is not far behind. Let's just be honest here. We're talking big platforms, right? Twitter's already got it with Periscope. Instagram's got live. Facebook's got live. Finally, YouTube has got live. I expected YouTube would have live like 10 years ago, so I'm kind of disappointed it took them this long to get with it.
We're all about video. Come on.
Right. Yeah, I'm all about video. Yeah. So, so I'm glad that they're doing this. My question is,
so what's the update? What's the update? I guess let's start with that. What's the update for people?
So the big update is now it's like one-click push button live, which is really kind of cool, right? So now if you go to your YouTube channel, you have a choice now. You go live. It's really slick, really easy. You don't have to be real smart about it. You can just go live, and that's a big deal. It's kind of, anytime you can make it that easy, I think that's great. And I think it's fascinating that they made this so easy on the desktop, because truly, this is way easier than Facebook's Live, just to go live. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the question is, does everybody really get it? Is it just for branded pages? Do you need more than 100 subscribers? How does this really roll out? And how are they going to prioritize this on YouTube? Are they going to prioritize live videos to boost the platform for using it for live over recorded videos, which means some joker is going to use Wirecast and pretend to be live and put their recorded video from 1987 on a VHS tape as a live video, right? That's really what we're going to see that, right? We are. Let's just be quite honest, right? We're going to see people that abuse the system, that try to trick us and make us feel scummy. So I'm curious, though, how they do this, right? If they prioritize these in search, you're going to see people take their old videos down and then update them into search, even though they have good results. What do you think?
Nicole, you want to add to that first? Or
Yeah, I definitely think that people always want to use and abuse stuff to their benefit. So I 100%, Phil, think you nailed it right on the head. My concern is with the community and the lack thereof. I mean, there is definitely community on YouTube, but like in comparison to Tawk or other channels, I mean, it's not going to be so much in your face readily all the time. So how is that going to compare with live on other channels? I mean, LinkedIn, definitely we're seeing Susie Nigan, hopefully I said her last name right, Roasted Chicken Girl. Love her. She's doing amazing stuff on LinkedIn. And just getting like just crazy numbers, which is funny because LinkedIn as a whole is not the most engaging spot. So again, how is YouTube going to keep up with that?
Well, I think that's the whole kid thing, right? So YouTube's audience is the kiddies. It's the 13 or 25-year-olds. So I think going live, you just set it up and go live now, and now you can live stream playing video games.
Right. Well, is that going to interrupt our other videos? Is ad time? Like, how are they going to get you into the live videos? Because if you're not just on there, I mean, I'm on there watching the video on my cell phone here or there or whatever, you know? Yeah.
Well, it's right. If you subscribe, though, you get an alert. So I'm sitting at my desktop, and now I see, Nicole is now going live, or she scheduled a live video. right? So yeah, playing with her pooch, and driving her Mario Kart, right?
Oh, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I'm just saying, I've seen it, Nicole. John shares videos. It's cool. So yeah, but I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to get those alerts. And again, I know, Nicole, you're going to hate me for saying this, but I think it's a separate app for live. I think it gives us, yep, totally. Because again, I want a choice. This is where YouTube Red comes in. YouTube Red now becomes the video recording.
Okay, you and I are on the same. We're totally on the same wavelength here.
Talk to me, Christian. What you got?
So I have to say, like the fact that, I like the fact that YouTube is making it really easy for people to go live. It's easier than using it on Facebook and all these other platforms. I think you have a good point about the fact that people have to figure out, well, how's YouTube Live going to work with like a regular channel upload? Now, the part for me that gets interesting is the fact that, like, in some previous work that I did with a very large company, we used YouTube Live, we used YouTube streaming, and we had to have an encoder. It was very expensive to have to do that. This is, by the way, the deeper part of this update for the week. We used YouTube Live, YouTube, and it was really expensive with the encoder. It was hard to set up. You had a lot of people. You had to have somebody on site, all that sort of stuff. Where I see the value in this is that YouTube is getting rid of the encoder. Basically, they're giving you an option without hardware. In this case, I don't have to have anything special to be able to do a YouTube Live. And that actually, to me, that makes me want to use this platform even more. It makes me want to use it even more because I'm already paying for service. For instance, I'm paying for BeLive, or I could pay for Wirecast, which was really expensive, didn't really work very well. Where I see this going, kind of going back to the YouTube Red option here, is, or and I'll put Amazon in the picture as well with this. But basically, with YouTube Red, I right now can pay, what is it, $10 a month or whatever, get no ads on my videos, get access to like YouTube Music, but also, hey, what if YouTube/Google decided to roll in live video into that $10 a month subscription? That's going to make me want to use YouTube even more. Facebook is pushing you directly into YouTube as well, I think, into using YouTube Live, for instance. This is actually really good timing, I think, for people that are like, hey, I want to use Facebook because I don't trust the data. YouTube's been around longer, that sort of stuff. But that's what I see happening here with this update. So hopefully that kind of makes a connection there.
Yeah. Nicole, you look like you wanted to say something there. Was there more you wanted to add?
Could you tell? My mouth was just like, wow. And Christian just, he likes to talk. So it's hard to get a word in. And I don't want to be like that. And never get invited back because she just keeps interrupting.
Yeah, that's why I was late, actually. I was in jail. So I just want you to know. So it was Christian. He called the authorities on me.
That could have helped you out.
Yeah. We'll call John Virant, and the number is 920. No, go ahead, Nicole.
So total sidebar, and again, it does have to do with our topic, but it doesn't. When are we going to have more ADA accessible live video? Because I think a lot of times we don't think about the people that are watching some of these things, and they're at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, well, so I'm gonna, Christian mentioned Amazon. I'm going to throw Amazon in the fray here and tell you Amazon goes first with the ADA compliant automatic caption videos because they already are automatically transcribing. They've got something in beta for every AWS subscriber for transcriptions at about 0.003 cents, or like 0.3 of a cent or 0.03 of a cent, right? For an hour of transcription, which I can totally see them then putting that over the top of videos in real time. So let's not sleep on the fact that Amazon Live is coming soon too. We just don't see it yet. So stay tuned. They've got Fire Sticks. The reason that their Fire phones didn't work is because they weren't really compatible with any of the networks. But I really think we might see them buy a T-Mobile or something and really get crazy with video, because if they've got a big pipe, now they've got a whole lot of content there, and they've got people, Prime members, that can now skip commercials too. Because remember, Facebook Live right now doesn't have any interruptions for commercials. Pretty soon, though, they're going to put, I'm going to guess every 10 minutes, they're going to put a mid-roll ad right in the middle of the recording, or they're going to make a stop for 3 seconds, and they're going to say bloop, brought to you by the Facebook sponsor, because people are going to want to make money on this. And if YouTube and Amazon are subscription based and not advertising focused, they're going to be a very different play, I think, than Facebook.
Absolutely. And I think what's going to happen also, I mean, I kind of go back to the Amazon thing. I see Amazon also rolling this into their Prime membership.
Absolutely.
You know,
yep. That's what I was saying.
That's
yep.
kind of what,
Absolutely. Totally agree. $100 a year, you can have your own Amazon channel.
Yeah. And they also have they have an Amazon influencer program as well. I'm actually part of that one. And, they base it off of your social media channels. Like, you have to have X amount of, they base it off of audience, but also, what kind of platforms are you on? You have a website, all that sort of stuff.
Yep. And if you're advertising, if you're spending money on the platform, right there, they should give you stuff. We talked about that last week, didn't we, Christian, about how we wanted Instagram to give us some cool features and we'd pay for those?
Mm-hmm.
Same way.
Absolutely. Lots of good stuff here. Lots and lots and lots of good stuff.
Yep. That's because Nicole's here. So
I will say, Nicole,
could barely hold down the show. Barely.
Fantastic. By the way, I will say fantastic. Fantastic. I'm really actually glad we brought you on. I mean, you have so much knowledge. So I'm really glad we've had you on. So we've got a couple of tools to talk about, by the way.
It's tool time on the Social Chatter Show. Tool time. Tool time. Whoop, whoop.
That's actually pretty good. I need a little montage there, to start at the end of the segment.
Some bumper music.
I didn't think Christian get into tool time.
Yeah, come on, Christian. We all got to dance. Tool time. Tool time.
Tool time.
Oh, mine's a little delayed.
Little Cabbage Patch. It's good.
I mean, you should have known this. You saw Phil's dancing video from the other week.
It's true.
It's Raining Men.
Yeah. Whoop, whoop.
So, sorry, I'm getting some delay on my end.
No, you're good, buddy. Go to the tools.
So let's talk tools real quick here. We got two tools for you. First one is going to be called it's called Brand 24. And if you've used these, would love to hear that. So let's see. Sorry.
Yeah. I played with Brand 24 for a little bit. It's another influencer platform. It's got some good information on it. Timothy Snow commented before. He's one of those guys. We should really be looking to him for this. But Brand 24 has got some interesting stuff to it. You get out of it what you put into it, though. So you got to know what you're looking for with any of these tools, right? Look at the truth. Don't just look at the numbers, and see what you're looking for.
I think that's a great point, by the way. Great point about just spending time, and Nicole, we talked about this earlier about kind of knowing what you're putting online. For instance, it's the same thing here. You have all the access to things, but to know how it's being used. The bottom line, though, Brand 24, basically it's a tool to let you get mentions, grow your customer satisfaction, your sales, obviously, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Anything y'all want to share about this tool in particular, Phil? Anything in particular?
It's got some nice integrations for folks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say take a look. Again, always any tools that we talk about anytime or any tools you're personally evaluating, think about the end. What am I trying to accomplish? And then use the tool to get towards that end. It's so important.
And use the right tool.
That's right. Well, yeah, but if you don't know what it is, well, that's the thing, right? So, but that's why you have to be really clear on what you're trying to do and on what you don't care that it does. Because some of these tools, they might fart purple Twinkies, but it doesn't mean you want it to do that. So don't
sparkle.
That's right. Nobody sparkles, right? I mean, we don't care. If I want sparkles, I'll go mail you some, Nicole, right? I don't care on my reporting platform, though.
Oh, don't worry. The teacher decided to put sparkles in one of our take-home letters for bedtime, and luckily the husband opened it up. It wasn't on my watch. But one thing I'll say about tools, and especially Brand 24, is connect with other people in your industry and find out what they're using and trying out. It saves you a lot of time and headaches from having to just go and jump right in and figure out if this is going to be a practical tool for you. For monitoring and that sort of jazz, I personally really like Mention. But yeah, I'm going to die here. I'm going to die soon. I left my power cord in the other room.
So I would say that's a great point, by the way, that you just mentioned there, which is if you have questions. I mean, first off, if you have questions about a tool, you're welcome to reach out to any of the three of us here. But But at the same time, like if you've got other people,
I'm kind of busy.
Anyway,
so yeah, just ignore Nicole. But Christian and I will be here to help you. So yeah,
pretty much.
You know, and if you're not sure,
I mean, come on.
That's it.
So the second tool for tonight, I'm going to make sure we wrap this up so Nicole's power doesn't die, is called Tawk To, and this one has a mascot of we have a mascot of a parrot here. So it's called Tawk To. And what it does is it basically is a messaging app that you can put on your website to monitor and chat with people who visit your website. But the one benefit to this is that it's a free tool, as opposed to most of these other messaging platforms for your websites are expensive for the same features. So have you all used these, or do you use something else maybe?
So I've used other tools like this. I think this is really interesting that it's free. Again, I'm curious, what the heck are they making? How are they making money? Right? I got to ask this. I don't understand when you do this, right? They right on their website, right? Tawk.to, TAWK.to. They generate revenue by providing live answering service for a select group of customers. Okay.
$1 per hour.
$1 per hour. So here's the thing, okay? I used to be in a startup called Minute Fix. We tried this. It doesn't work. They're not going to make any money. Here's why. I'm sitting on my butt and I'm wondering when somebody's going to ping me, but I'm not just going to sit here for 12 hours if you're not paying me. So I'm going to go pick my nose, and then the customer pings in, and it's 10 hours later because I had a really long lunch. I don't think this works at all. I would not invest my money in this is a free tool that I don't think I'd use. Now, that being said, I might try it, and then for 30 days, see what kind of results I get, and then immediately move to a better tool that you pay for. Because you get what you pay for, right? I think it's important. I like a tool called Olark, actually, Olark. Olark is the tool that I've implemented with some clients before. Olark has been a really easy tool, or something that integrates with your CRM, because that's the thing, right? These are standalone tools. If it's free, you got to wonder how hard they're going to work on the integrations. So be careful about that.
Very good point, by the way, and thank you for the recommendation, the alternative.
Yep.
And I will say the one point that you make, I think, on that is that if I'm going to go use a tool, like test it out. Like this doesn't cost anything. What's it going to cost you? Like a little bit of time. You install it, you test it on your site. Chances are it's a WordPress. Chances are it's got a WordPress plugin. You install it, and you give it a go and see how it works. And you might find, for instance, that you get more communication through that tool than you do a contact page. Well, hey, that's good, but just, pay attention again to the obvious. Like if you install it, nobody's using it. You haven't had somebody message you in, a month or even a couple of weeks. Time to remove that plugin and go to something else. So, and if you don't know the answer, if you're also not getting feedback on, if you have it installed and you're not hearing anything from customers, maybe you want to ask your customers, run a simple survey. How do you like to communicate with me? And make it easy for your customers.
Yeah. So, ask your customers. Nicole's dead. So we killed her, Christian. She had enough cheese and she's overwhelmed. So she's dead. She will be no more, but that's okay. We love her anyway. So rest in peace, Nicole, when you watch the replay. Just know we cut the cheese in your honor.
So do you know what's the best way to get hold of Nicole, by the way? I know she mentioned LinkedIn earlier.
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably best. She plays a little bit on Twitter too, at Nicole Virant, and then on Facebook as well. She's got cute kids and a cute dog. We just saw the dog tonight, probably. Her husband's a cool guy too. So yeah, just get connected with Nicole. She's super, super smart and super helpful. And a really kind person. She's got a big heart, and she's willing to help you if she can.
And by the way, I want to echo the same sentiment about how she's super smart, because I will say I was very impressed with having her on. I'd never met her before the show. Just had the little information that you and I chatted about. So I will say, fantastic. She has a lot of really great insight to share. So Nicole, I know hopefully you're watching the replay. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. for Social Chatter. Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to join as well tonight. Fantastic. Always a fun show. So who do we have next week, by the way? So
is it Carrie Manning next week? Is Carrie joining us?
No, I think we have Ann, actually. Don't we have Ann?
Oh, yeah, Ann Wynn. That's right. Yes, we do. We have Ann Wynn from Mobile Chat is joining us next week. That's right. So exciting. Ann Wynn lives in Houston. She is a freaking rock star, folks. If you have not encountered the power that is Ann Wynn, you are missing out. Check her out. It's ANH, Ann Wynn, NGUYEN, Ann Wynn. She's fantastic. Check her out. Get to know Ann a little bit because she is going to bring the heat next week, Christian.
Sounds good. I'm so looking forward to having her on. I know we were trying to have her on a couple weeks ago. We had a technical difficulty, but we're going to have her back on. So it should be a fantastic show. I will have a blog post recap up of tonight's episode in a few hours. Well, tomorrow, basically, for everybody. And this has been fun. So I can't wait for next week. But we will see you all next week on Social Chatter, episode 133. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.